is the first time film has been screened to an audience. So.
It's actually the first time we've actually watched it in the same room together.
Yeah.
It's really quite weird. Do you want a hug?
Rewind, we're on top of the world tonight.
So, we're going to do a little Q&A. Anyone has any questions about how we made this film? Any questions to our director, Rob?
Yeah, please.
We've also got Graham in the audience, and a few other people got some of the composers from the film in the audience. So yeah, just fire away. Anything you have, throw it away. You choose.
All right. Oh, okay, let's start from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
First off, I was going to say, if you want to watch your old VHS now, it's the best play to get. Because I've got
We don't work
boxes
in
and
curries.
boxes. No, I mean, do you still watch VHS at home? Like, sometimes?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
as you
Yeah.
said in the video.
Yeah, it's
Every now and then, you know. It's, for example, I got. Well, actually, my wife's has. I bring my Dario Argento documentary.
Yeah.
So sometimes I used to watch a couple times. Yeah.
I've still got one of those video to DVD converters because I
Yeah.
refuse to get. I think it's my auntie's and she doesn't know I have it, but I
Yeah.
refuse to get
Yeah.
rid of it. And every once in a while, I'll just chuck something in if I find something. I'm not a collector myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are some gems that I'm just like, and there are even copies of CULT VHS.
Yeah,
and
actually,
VHS.
it was for me an experiment. So I made some VHS copies, and it was very funny to see how the aspect ratio kind of expanded a little bit. So it's weird.
We're getting technical now. So.
And do you guys love synthwave? This is like the music that came revived with this new 80s kind of revival.
Infraviolet, where are you? Wave your hands. We actually have one of them in today. We actually
Yeah.
have a synthwave
Big
band.
synthwave heads. Yes.
There you go. If you've got any things you can throw out to the audience, like CDs or coins,
You can find us on everywhere. Bandcamp.
you can find them everywhere.
No, I
Spotify.
think the music was important also to have to convey that kind of. It went well with the film.
Yeah.
I think.
And the other composer for the film was your brother, who's
Yeah,
also a
yeah.
producer
Can I
on
have
it.
a badge?
Yeah, of course.
You trying to get one?
Hi Rob,
Oh,
really
yeah.
enjoyed that.
Thank you.
What inspired you to make this documentary?
Well, actually, for the first day I conceived, I had this idea. It was during lockdown, so I had like these depression episodes at some point, and I wanted to definitely make a feel-good movie, a documentary that, while I was interviewing this and discovering this amazing group of people, I was starting to feel happy and feel more relaxed. So that was what I was trying to portray. So it's not for me just like, oh, it's for me just a documentary. It means a lot for me for that reason. Oh, please.
Yeah, great documentary, really enjoyed it. It sort of really seems to sort of define me, and I'm one of these people that's like this, what self-appointed curators of popular culture are like and what drives different people. But it did make me wonder, what do you think, having made this now, is there a singular reason why people obsess over VHS and collect? Or are they all as varied as they made out? Or while you're editing it, did you actually sort of come to the conclusion there was one singular reason, maybe one or two reasons?
I think there's a deeper reason behind this.
Yeah,
I think
that's
it
what I'm
is trying to recapture your youth, trying to go back to a time when everything seemed innocent and we were being exposed to these images of, graphic images and Freddy Krueger and things like that. And it was so much simpler before we had to start adulting. And the thing about it is when I look back at it, I had the most awesome childhood of Terminator 2 and Goonies and Indiana Jones, and now I'm got to pay council tax, and I'm making sure I don't get kicked out of my flat, and and EastEnders is still going, so it's kind of trying to find that fine balance. But then we do get stuff like Stranger Things and Cult of VHS, where you do actually sit down for a minute and go, oh, you remember when all that didn't fucking matter, and you could just I think that's what people are searching for, and especially when it's a physical thing, that's when it's like it's not just in your mind, it's something you can actually touch, and in some cases Jordi Camacho, the weird Spanish guy, likes to caress. I think he's stuck in customs, he didn't make something about a Jane Fonda video.
It touched on it briefly about how it will never be sort of mainstream again to have digital media, but now there's reports of streaming services taking off sort of certain titles, and even streaming services editing out certain parts of films. Do you reckon that may change?
I think it depends, because we're also, I mean, we've discussed this before, where I think we are in a more sensitive generation now. I think we are getting to a point where some things might not be socially acceptable anymore. Stuff that, you know, I've seen films. I mean, you've only got to watch Octopussy to go like, should he have said that? This will keep him curry for a week. I think that's appropriate or whatever. But then I think sometimes I think it can be, you know, justified, but other times I think it's plain stupid. I think it's a piece of social historical. It was of its time. If you're offended by it, then leave it. You know, you don't have to. But of course, a lot of these streaming platforms are doing it now. I know Disney Plus are doing it for a few of their titles as well. So it's, I don't know.
It's the great cancel culture debate.
Yeah, and
which just ruins bloody everything.
I didn't say that.
I did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for a brilliant documentary which resonated with me hugely as somebody who used to sound VHS, HMV Oxford Circus. But my question for you is, as somebody who watched The Goonies 7 times in 3 days, what's been the VHS that, as a kid or as a young adult, you just kept playing and playing and playing, the thing you were hooked about?
No, we watch, for example, for me, actually, Bad Taste, for example, from Peter Jackson, and a movie called El Mariachi from Robert Rodriguez, actually made me, you know, watch the film on VHS. The movie ended, and grab a camera and start shooting my short film. So I think we have like even we have this in common also, from most of like an audience like us.
I think mine was, no, I know what it was, I know it was Batman 89. And I used to play that over and over and over again. Then I'd get like my granddad's video camera, set up the action figures and try to recreate it as best I could. And if I was missing anyone, I'd have to nick a Ghostbuster or one of my brother's toys or something like that. And that was kind of how that got started.
Excellent documentary, really good.
Thank you.
Can you remember your last rented video?
I think you get a T-shirt. I think you just won one of the prizes. I think. Don't bat it to me.
I'm trying to collect my memory.
I do remember what it was. It was Tomorrow Never Dies, 1997 or 1998. I think that was one of the last films we ever rented, and I'd just seen GoldenEye before that. So yeah.
I think I might the local store. A film called Day of the Beast, which is like a Spanish version from Alex de la Iglesia. So I missed that. We didn't have that on a theater. So I think that one was the last one I had. Yeah.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, yours too. Oh, can you go?
You have a little clip of Mary Whitehouse with the Rambos.
Oh yeah.
I'd love to watch it. But was there a Mexican equivalent of Mary Whitehouse? Was there a similar kind of figure around censorship?
Yeah. Actually, I was quite fascinated by this subject, and I wanted to treat that issue with that subject with respect, being foreign. So you tell me if we did like a nice job, and Aaron was just so amazing to go back and forth with that concept, because we didn't have that censorship back in Mexico at that time. So we heard in the news and everything about the video Nazis, but it was almost like a seal of approval. Even in theaters, when they weren't watching, film was banned in the UK. So it was, wow, I have to see it.
Look at you, we could see it.
So it will get more people to theater. So for me, it was a very fascinating concept.
Amazing documentary. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you.
I guess the question for me was, it was great seeing the adverts and hearing the voiceover artists again that we'll all remember. For me, physically, video stores were already in transition. Like you had half your videos here, half DVDs here, my new selection of games in the middle. That was kind of when I started. But I'll always remember them being like, "Are you 15? Yes, sir, I promise." You know, there's lots of memories there. What is your favourite physical video store memory? And if you could dictate the future of physical media, what would you like to see in place for it?
Oh, you really want a t-shirt, don't you?
Okay. Well, actually, for me, for example, for this documentary, we have been approached from distributors or stuff. But I would like this, for example, this documentary to have a place or a home that can be, you know, to have some physical media form to our documentaries. So for me, for us, it's important to grab the actual, you know, like they were saying, to grab the actual tape, you know, to open the tape, like they were saying, the cracks. For me, it's about this movie needs to exist at some point on physical media. I don't know if it's gonna stay or not, but for me, I would love to have still around for a while. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. I mean, just when you show, because to be honest, like the first time I met Rob was 2 days ago. I mean, FRIGHTFEST brought us together, so actually physically seeing Rob and presented me with this, and I was like, holy shit, we're taking this seriously. So like, it just blew my mind. And then you do that. I mean, as a kid, I was like, and then you eventually do, and then just this thing is just. I mean, this is actually the film as well, which is mind-blowing, but it's just something about it that, and I was talking about nostalgia as well, and grabbing that piece of the past, and I'm just like, you know, it's held together by magnets and stuff like that. It's an impractical format, but I fucking love it. It's just so cool, and I can understand why people are revisiting it and why it's coming back.
Yeah.
In terms of the video shop and in terms of like my memory, we didn't have a Blockbusters or anything like that. We had a small place called Danny's Videos, and I think they're a florist now. It's a shame, but yeah. And I remember the one I remember was the one I talked about in the documentary Freddy's Dead, and I think I was 6 when my dad showed me in Up in Elm Street, and completely inappropriate. My dad's the bald guy on the film, and I remember watching the Freddy films, being absolutely terrified, being terrified by your artwork on Elm Street 2 with the bus and everything, and then I remember going to the video store and I remember seeing the sleeve for Freddy's Dead, and my dad saying, do you want to watch this tonight?
Are you sure?
Yeah, it was more like, do you want to watch this tonight? Right, because I'm 6, and he said, I've got 3D glasses to go with it, so we can get some fish and chips, we can go home, turn the lights out, put the glasses on. It was the coolest thing ever. So it was a step beyond for me, because I think we rented it for one night. I probably watched it 3 times over. My mum and dad went to bed, I was still watching it because I was just absolutely, you know, I haven't actually been back to revisit the 3D section of that film because I do not want to be disappointed. So I'm just going to let it stay there in my mind.
I've got a more challenging question for you, both of you. What's your favourite VHS artwork where the artwork is brilliant but the film is rubbish?
Yeah, you'll get a t-shirt, man. Do you want to go first? Well, I think of mine.
Yeah, well, actually, they were for me in Mexico. For example, the Bad Taste movie that I was telling you about. They had like a very horrible cover at the beginning, but somehow it got me interested. But they were like, I remember that being like, didn't liking the cover, but the film turned into actually amazing and blowing my mind. But I don't think there were a lot of Mexploitation films that we said, like exploitation, but with Mexican, action movies that were like that. I remember a lot of those, I guess.
Daniel O'Donnell. He's an Irish folk singer, or my nan used to have loads of videos of him. The artwork was depressing and the video was just bad.
But the artwork was good though, was it?
Well, he had a nice smile.
What I was asking is like a really good, great artwork, like you used to go into the video shop.
Graham did an artwork for Daniel O'Donnell, I think.
Oh, I haven't seen that one, Graham.
I actually can't think of one. I'm trying, because, yeah, That's a really hard one.
It is hard. It is really tough. But I just remember being in those video shops as a kid,
Yeah.
and you would spend so long like going through it, and those covers were the things that would suck you in, and then you would go home and you go, "Oh fuck, this film is shit."
There was a kids' film when I was younger called, I don't know if anyone probably heard of it, probably not, David and the Magic Pearl. Exactly. So
That's
it
Paul,
was a
wasn't it?
kids' film, but the artwork was quite, it was cool. It had aliens, pyramids, all that stuff, and you watch it and it was a seizure. I had no idea what I was watching. The songs didn't make sense. My mum would just leave me in the room, and that would be it. But that's one I remember. I'll show you the trailer, or I'll put it on.
Oh, brilliant!
Facebook.
That sounds great. I'd love to see
It's
that. Man.
freaky as hell. Like,
Yeah, but
worse than some video nasty.
yeah, normally it's being about watching a cover. Normally involves like a helicopter exploding. That is not in the film. Something like that.
No
Yeah.
explosion.
Yeah.
Also, one other thing, guys. What are you doing next?
Probably going to the pub.
No, but filmmaking terms.
Oh, right.
Well, actually, I'm kind of developing some ideas about a narrative film that involves like astral projections and stuff like that. But there's a lot of stuff that we didn't cover, so I think now it got me excited to keep working on a project like this.
Jen, can you stand up for a second? Because you're wearing a T-shirt of our next project. It's a short film called Pareidolia. We have a Kickstarter on Indiegogo. It's a short film that I'm working on with Stuart Morris from Misty Moon.
Nice.
And it's starring Diane Franklin from Amityville 2 and also Carolyn Pickles from Broadchurch, Sandy Johnson from John Carpenter's Halloween, and Graham Cole from John Carpenter's The Bill. So if any of you have got any money, or if you want to check it out, or just share it on social media, please do, because we're looking to start shooting in a couple of weeks' time, and hopefully we're looking for early release next year. But it's a super fun project. My dad's written it, so yeah, check it out when you can.
Yeah, and please let us know, later on in the week, what do you think about the film? This is the first time film has been screened to an audience. So
It's actually the first time we've actually watched it in the same room together.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
really. Do you want a hug?
You know I don't love outside. Don't you get